Travis Wayne Goodsell. In the early 1800s, 1826 to be precise, in western New York, a man by the name of William Morgan had gone missing. And there was a press reporter that they had back then who covered the story and wrote about it. And from his publication, the result from the community was the anti-Mason movement that caused the people to go on a frenzy and burn down the majority of the Freemasonic temples in existence in the United States. Just a simple act of letting the people know about the disappearance of just one guy. And we've come a long ways as during the Watergate scandal, we had two reporters whose investigation with Deep Throat, based on the new movie that had come out, and the results of their reporting took down a president of the United States. I am not a crook. As our technology improves, forensic investigation is getting sidelined across the nation. Police officers and prosecuting attorneys are instead utilizing the tactic of arrest the person and force a confession in order for them to be released, or at least pretend to claim they're going to get them released. And in most cases, their lives are destroyed, and so they fall for the plea, and then they get punished further than what the plea was offering. But with the advent of cell phones and its connection to the internet and social media, regular citizens were now able to investigate as they just go about their normal daily routine and stumble across a cop murdering unarmed, innocent black men, or planting evidence, or committing other crimes. And those cell phone footage ends up exposing the corruption of the police force. And then we see the emergence of analytical programming for computers and websites. And as a result, it now becomes tougher for the average citizen to report and expose criminal and corrupt behavior among those who are supposed to serve and protect, among those who govern, among those who are in leadership positions, even in the church. And so, if you remember, right before the cell phone era, the tobacco industry was exposed. They weren't taken down. They're back at their game again. But it relied on whistleblowers, because the press got silenced after taking down a president. No more were they investigating. And so it was now the duty of employees to whistleblow on their companies. And the church has had a whistleblower as well. But notice nothing's been done to the church about it. Instead, the church just allows Ensign Peak Associates to regularly show and be transparent with what they're doing. As they've said, we do it with all sources of income, which means they have dozens of other investment companies that we are still not seeing. We're only seeing the one where the one employee worked at and whistleblowed. But the tobacco industry required a whistleblower, just like the church required a whistleblower. Otherwise, we would not know about the corruption. The Utah press, they don't cover investigative news. They might expose the church. Don't want that, right? Max Roth, who in 2018 exposed the church for receiving unidentified sourced money in the amount of $32 billion with the brand new LLC corporations that were allowed because of the Hatch tax bill. Yes, Orrin Hatch, who got in a fight with Senator Brown. Sherrod, I can't remember his first name. As Brown exposed it as not helping the poor as it was supposed to, or as Hatch claimed it was, as Hatch lashed back at him. And so the analytical programs now are again helping to cover up crime and corruption of the church, of the police, of government. And it's from this analytical program that you program, which means you have to have a person who does the programming. And so yes, YouTube has been purposely designing their analytical program to censor me, to suppress my videos from their audience on YouTube. And YouTube has lots of viewers. It's well used, probably not as much as Facebook, but it's well used. And so for me to expose the corruption of YouTube and then to be retaliated against for exposing them. Now, see, they're now catching on. My thumbs up no longer registers. I see it, but it doesn't count on the analytical program. They're now catching on because they were the ones responsible for putting the regular 2 thumbs down to suppress the views and justify not having my videos recommended. Because if my videos are put on people's recommended lists, people watch them. Whether people like it or not, they still watch them because it's recommended. And so they've learned how to suppress me. And the question is, why are they spending so much time, effort, and energy to suppress me? I'm nobody, right? My information, it's just foolish talk, right? nobody would actually believe me, right? It's not the prophets who saw that one video to help break the barrier of the analytical program on the 3rd of March, right? That's now reaching 3,000 views, right? Seeing that? That 3,000 video view for LDS Prophets to Abolish Book of Mormon for April 2021 General Conference, that was suppressed, but the prophets screwed it up, and it was too late for them to stop it. And with conference last week, they couldn't stop it again because it had a rebirth. And so the 3,000 should have been much, much more had they not been diligently trying to suppress my video and my other videos. And I know the reason why. It's because I speak the truth. Mormons don't like it, so they deny it. I'm sorry, denial is insufficient to justify being correct. You're lying if that's all you got. You need to be able to say, no, Travis, the inverted pentagram is not described in Isaiah as the symbol of Lucifer. You can't argue against it, can you? And there it is, the symbol of the church. And yet you'll see the church news, they'll have people that put up, oh, the Book of Mormon is the keystone. But the keystone is on the Salt Lake Temple, and it's not the Book of Mormon. We have Jesus in the name, therefore we're Jesus' church. That's a false equivalency. There are lots of Christian churches that use the name Jesus Christ and other titles. Aren't they then the true church of Jesus Christ if they've got his name too? They talk the talk as if that's who their God is. Why isn't their Jesus Christ the true God then? If that's your logic, that by simply saying, well, that's our name, therefore it is. I was wanting to do this as a separate video. Maybe I'll throw it in here. I don't know if I'll get to it. But are Mormons even using the Book of Mormon to find and identify the Great and Abominable Church? No, they're not. Why? Well, they're in the one and only true church, right? Why search for the Great and Abominable Church when you're in the true church? And so Mormons take it for granted and just say, oh, yeah, okay, Great and Abominable Church, got it. Okay. Bruce R. McConkie, I heard him say it was Catholics. But the church banned his book, Mormon Doctrine. And so, yeah, Mormons take it for granted. But what about other people who are not Mormon? Missionaries come to them, give them the Book of Mormon. It talks about the Great and Abominable Church. But these people who are finding out for the first time, they read, ponder, pray, get a spiritual witness, say, hey, I want to be a member. You paying your tithing? Okay. They pay their tithing. They're brought into the church. They too aren't looking for the Great and Abominable Church. So who's looking for the Great and Abominable Church? The Doctrine and Covenants orders us in section 18, contend against no church but the church of the devil. Well, which church is that? Well, Jesus told Joseph Smith it's all of Christianity. No, he said they were all wrong. They're not of the devil. As big difference. Lucifer founds his church with his symbol, with his doctrines of taking away agency to force compliance in order to save all mankind. That's the church you're supposed to be looking for. The Book of Mormon's true, right? It's the keystone of Mormonism, right? So why then is nobody looking for it? Especially when it's right in front of you. Not here on the screen, not me. The Salt Lake Temple. So, you know, with the internet, it's amazing how the church is able to reach out and censor all of us who are exposing them. Because the church should not exist anymore. It's been destroyed, but that destruction has been suppressed. And so those few of you who are watching this video, because they've figured out further ways to suppress me on YouTube, think about that.